In our first lesson, we talked about the power words that separate the elite from the tourists. But words are only the hardware. Today, we are going to install the software, the accent. I am not talking about a generic French accent you hear in movies. I am talking about the old money French accent. In France, the way you move your mouth and the rhythm of your sentences tell a story. They tell a story about your education, your family, and your bank account before you even finish your first sentence. Most students try to sound perfect, but in the higher circles of Paris, perfection is seen as a lack of confidence. To sound like an executive, you need to master the art of the effortless elite. In the next 10 minutes, I am going to deconstruct the phonetic codes of the French 1%. I will show you why overpronouncing is a social mistake, how to master the secret of the silent E, and why the rhythm of a Parisian leader is different from anything you have learned on an app. By the end of this video, you will have the keys to a voice that commands respect in any luxury hotel or boardroom in Europe. This is the transformation from speaking French to embodying French prestige. Let's start with the first rule of the elite accent, the law of economy. When you listen to a beginner, they try to pronounce every single letter. They are mechanical. In the 16th arrondissement of Paris, the elite use a style that is relaxed but surgical. We call this nonchalance. To sound high value, you must learn to eat certain letters while maintaining a clear logical structure. The most important letter to master is the E muette, the silent E. In standard French, you might say je ne sais pas. In the executive register, you say je ne sais pas. You drop the E. It sounds faster, more natural, and more confident. It signals that you are so comfortable with the language that you don't need to follow the rules of a primary school teacher. You are creating a flow that is exclusive to those who actually live and work in the circles of power. Now, let's talk about the rhythm of authority. Most languages, including English, are stress-timed. We emphasize certain syllables. French is syllable-timed. Every syllable has almost the same weight. But the French elite add a specific twist, the deceleration. A tourist speaks fast because they are nervous. A leader speaks with a deliberate, slow rhythm. They use the end of the sentence to let their point land. Instead of rising in pitch at the end of a statement, which makes you sound like you are asking for permission, stay flat or go slightly lower. This is what we call the gravitas of the voice. When you combine this flat, steady rhythm with the economy of your vowels, you create a sound that is incredibly difficult to ignore. You sound like someone who is used to being listened to. The third pillar of the old money accent is the placement of the voice. Many learners speak from the throat or the nose. The French executive speaks from the mask, the front of the face. This creates a sound that is crisp, clear, and projected. It is the sound of the grand oral we discussed in Lesson 7. It requires a specific posture. Sit up straight, as my avatar is doing now. Keep your shoulders down. When your body is aligned, your voice gains a natural resonance that signals leadership. You aren't just making sounds, you are projecting an identity. One of the biggest mistakes that will ruin your prestige instantly is trying to use too much slang to sound cool. In the French 1%, slang exists, but it is used with extreme caution. It is always wrapped in perfect formal grammar. This is the in and out strategy. You show that you know the street, but you belong to the palace. If you use too much casual French, you look like you are trying too hard to fit in. The truly powerful do not try to fit in. They set the standard. Your goal is to have an accent that is so clean and so rhythmic that people wonder which grande école you attended. To summarize this masterclass on the old money accent, master the law of economy by dropping the unnecessary E, adopt the steady rhythm of the monarch, and project your voice from the front of the face. This is how you close the gap between being a visitor and being an initiate. In our next lesson, we will explore the secret phrases French politicians use to win every debate. If you want the exact phonetic transcriptions of the elite phrases we discussed today and the social engineering exercises to train your voice, get your copy of Master French Business on Amazon. It is the only manual that teaches you the sound of success. Click the link in the description to secure your copy and join the elite. Subscribe to this channel to stay ahead of the competition. Merci beaucoup et à la prochaine. Welcome back to the Master French Academy. Today, we are entering the most dangerous and most rewarding territory in French business, the lunch. In the United States or the United Kingdom, a business lunch is a transaction. It is about efficiency. You eat a quick salad, you talk about the numbers. In France, if you try to do that, you have already lost. In the French corporate elite, a lunch is not about food. It is a psychological test. It is a 2-hour observation of your character, your culture, and your social rank. Your partner is not asking themselves if your product is good. They are asking themselves, is this person sophisticated enough to be my partner? In the next 10 minutes, I am going to give you the exact roadmap to turn a simple meal into a signed contract. We will cover the seating, the conversation, the wine trap, and the ultimate power move for the bill. Let's start with the arrival. Punctuality in France is a nuance. For a social dinner, you arrive 15 minutes late. For a business lunch, you arrive exactly on time. Being late shows a lack of structure. Now, look at the table. Do not touch your napkin until your host has touched theirs. Do not put your phone on the table. In the French boardroom, the phone is a tool. At the table, it is an insult. This is where most international professionals fail. They start talking about business immediately. In France, there is a sacred rule: no business talk before the main course. The first hour is dedicated to the savoir-vivre. Now, let's talk about the wine. This is a major strategic point. In high-level French business, wine is common, but drunkenness is a death sentence for your credibility. The transition to business happens at the espresso. When the coffee arrives, the atmosphere changes. The savoir-vivre is over. The savoir-faire begins. This is your moment. Use a clean transition phrase. Puisque nous sommes ici, j'aimerais avoir votre avis sur la structure du projet. The espresso is the signal that the diplomatic part is done and the Cartesian logic can begin. If the conversation goes well, do not rush to sign a paper at the table. A lunch is for agreement in principle. The contract follows by email, as we saw in Lesson 3. The end of the lunch is where you cement your authority. In France, the person who invites pays. There is no splitting the bill. 10 minutes before the end, excuse yourself to go to the restroom. Find the waiter, give your credit card, and settle everything privately. When you return to the table and your guest sees no bill, simply say, "C'est déjà réglé." This is the ultimate power move. To summarize Lesson 5, respect the ritual, master the conversation, and use the coffee for the closing. You are not just buying a meal, you are buying trust. Today, we are going to master the most difficult, the most misunderstood, and yet the most powerful word in the French business vocabulary. We are talking about the word no. In many international business cultures, especially in the United States or Northern Europe, a no is a wall. It is the end of a conversation. But in France, a no is not an end. It is a beginning. It is an invitation to a deeper, more logical debate. If you don't understand the psychology of the French no, you will spend your career feeling rejected. Let's start with the psychology. Why do the French say no so often? You must understand that in a Cartesian country, intellectual protection is a form of status. If a French executive says yes too easily, they feel they haven't tested your logic enough. By saying no, they are testing your solidity. They want to see if you have the cran, the guts. Now let's look at how you should say no. Instead of a flat non, use the tactical block. The most powerful phrase is "Cela me semble compliqué en l'état." You aren't being difficult, you are being demanding. But what happens when the no comes from your boss? You cannot tell your N+1 they are wrong in front of the team. Use the private doubt. Wait for a one-on-one. Say, "Je me permets de revenir sur votre idée." You are a loyal advisor, not a rebel. When in a heated disagreement, do not use emotions. Use the validation bridge. Step 1, validate their brain. Step 2, introduce the pivot. Step 3, introduce the new logic. This is the art of French business diplomacy. Finally, avoid the no of the decision maker. Always identify the real décideur early on. Find the logic of the hierarchy, and you will find the path to the yes. To summarize, Do not fear the number, embrace the conflict. In our next video, we will cover job interviews and management. Get your copy of Master French Business on Amazon. Subscribe to Own the Room. Merci beaucoup et à la prochaine.